So we're currently in a worship series called Why Trinity? Becoming an Outward-Focused Church. And today is the third part of that. To give you a brief review on what we've been talking about so far, is that on the first Sunday we talked about becoming more outwardly focused disciples as individuals. We reflected on the emphasis where Jesus is always sending us out. Instead of telling us how to wait patiently for new people to come into our comfort zone, he always talked about go out, go. He was sending out his disciples. And when we think of this in a personal level, it's basically a change of a mindset. How much are we willing and inviting others into our lives? Because that change in our mindset is how the relationship enters into a deeper level. From the occasional small talks about weather and politics, or politics is not small talks nowadays, but small talks about weather into a deeper level of relationships. The idea is that it begins from that deeper relationship between two individuals. The whole idea of being outward-focused church begins. Then three, and then to the fourth person. You just begin from that first relationship. And then last Sunday we reflected on the three important questions. And if we are to be a more outward-focused church, we need to ask first, why do people need Jesus Christ? That's the first question. And then the second question is, why do people need a church to begin with? And then the third question is, why do people need Trinity United Methodist Church in their lives? So those are the three important questions that we will continue to work on. And last week I invited everyone to ask these questions to ourselves. So more inwardly asking this question, why do I need Jesus Christ? Can we answer that? Why do I need a church? Can we answer that? Why do I need Trinity United Methodist Church? Can we answer that? So there won't be an answer that will work for everybody. So there is no right answer that'll work. So whatever your answers are to these questions, they are the right answers. Just believe in it. Then think of someone in your life, the name that is keep coming to your heart, who might need Jesus Christ for the same reasons that you need Christ in your life. Who might need a church for the very same reasons that you need a Christian community in your life. And then who might need Trinity United Methodist Church for the very same reason that you need Trinity United Methodist Church in your life. Keep that name close to your heart and lift up their name whenever you are praying during the week. So that was last week. And today, we're talking about hospitality under the title, Practice Hospitality. We will be digging into Romans chapter 12 for the next 2 Sundays. But from today's portion, in verse 13, there is a mention about that word, hospitality. So let us pay attention to the context of where that term comes from. So I'll read that verse 13 once again. Share with the Lord's people who are in need. Practice hospitality. Practice hospitality. Let us take a moment to think about that. Perhaps it'll be helpful for us to read it from another translation. That was helpful for me. It's the Message translation. So I'll read from verse 11 through 13 from that specific translation. It goes like this. Don't burn out. Hear that again. Don't burn out. Keep yourselves fueled and aflame. Be alert servants of the Master, cheerfully expectant. Don't quit in hard times. Pray all the harder. Help needy Christians. Be inventive in hospitality. That's what the Message translation goes like. But the first few words struck me hard. Don't burn out. When you are burnt out, what happens is that you fall into a pattern, coming into a cycle of repetition, doing the same things over and over without any sense of excitement or joy. That's burnout. You just do the same things. The famous quote from Albert Einstein, we probably all know, is that the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. We've heard of that before. And the longer we dwell in that pattern, the more years that we continue to repeat the same things, it will be harder to break out from it. So when we think about a change in how we do things, or either it may be a church evangelism or new programs for teenagers or new mission projects or changing and rethinking our relationship with money and our possessions, our resources, or changing our lifestyle so that we can be more ethical and moral to our environment, the realistic question to all of that is, do you have the energy to do it? Do you have the energy to do it? Or since we don't feel like we have anything left in our tank to try something new, we just do what we've been doing until the moment that we use up all of our resources. In the essence of the conversation about hospitality, it's about how much energy is there. When someone comes into our building for the first time, when someone comes into our worship service for the first time, when someone comes into our meetings for the first time, how much energy can that person feel? I think that's the essence of hospitality. In the book Universal Christ from Richard Rohr, there was a phrase I love that he used when he was describing what church ought to be. And as he was talking about a passage from Paul's letters, he said, and I love this visual. He said, Paul wanted the church to be an audio-visual aid of God's alternative consciousness. The idea of church being the audio-visual aid for God's kingdom. The idea that all the things we do, how we do them, how we treat one another, how we talk to each other, how we deal with conflicts among us, is one thing to think about it within us, but it's on a whole another level if we think that if there's someone who's never heard about Jesus Christ in their lives before, we are the audio-visual aid for them to see what God's kingdom might look like. And this doesn't mean that we're going to be in perfect agreement all the time. Neither it means that we are going to be in abundance in resources all the time. But it means that we know how to choose love when we are in disagreement. That when someone sees Trinity Church, they will say, this church knows how to choose faith when we face our anxiety around money. That the people who goes to Trinity Church is known for knowing how to choose joy when we face hardships and challenges in our individual lives. We are the audio-visual aid for that alternative consciousness that Jesus preached about. The Romans passage tell us to practice hospitality. The question for applying what that hospitality is how will you commit to find ways to transform this church and its programs to be more welcoming, right? And that's not only a question of what new programs we will do, but it is about how we will do them. So here are some examples. In the midst of the global emergency around the coronavirus that Walt mentioned earlier, It is one thing to figure out how to protect ourselves from that. But in a deeper level, how much are you aware of the new racial discrimination towards Asian people because of that? So if someone who looks like me wears a mask and walk into, I don't know, Shaw's and start coughing like crazy, immediately, right? Immediately. So that's how our racism unconsciously works. Or, turning the subject, when we are faithfully serving the community lunch every Thursday, it is one thing to figure out the details of the meal, but how much are we practicing hospitality by sitting with them at their tables? So that's a different level. So that's the questions that we need to ask ourselves. Last Sunday, when I came home from church, I couldn't believe what I was seeing on my phone about a basketball legend's sudden death from a helicopter accident. Kobe Bryant was a great basketball player, and I'm a basketball fan. But he was never my favorite because, I'm a Celtics guy, so anybody from Lakers doesn't really resonate with me. But I found myself in total shock just looking at that news, and I thought about why. I realized that Kobe was not just about an individual or a player on a team, but he represented everything that we desire in life. A career that was so glamorous enough so that he can live the rest of his life and to afford to retire at age 38. How ideal is that? The health, we talk about well-being all the time, eating well, working out. Talk about that we always seem to fall short after the first few weeks of every new year. When we think about Kobe, he's like the ideal in that sense. Also his mentality, the hardworking mentality of that inspires so many young people who are chasing their own dreams. And then the value that he put on his family. A perfect image of parents being able to be in every moments of their children's life events. We try our best too, but not all of us can afford to do that as much as we want to. All of that came to a sudden end on one normal day. It really gave me a chance to reflect on what matters the most. Because this day isn't guaranteed. Because tomorrow isn't guaranteed. Nothing in life is guaranteed. We must live each of our moments to its fullest. I think that's the type of energy, that desire and willingness to live each moment to the fullest. That type of energy is the energy when we talk about hospitality. That energy saying that this moment matters to me. That energy saying that this time matters to me. You being in my life right now really matters to me. And I'm going to take full advantage of this time together. That's hospitality. That's why the Romans passage said that don't burn out. Don't burn out. Keep yourselves fueled and aflame. Be alert servants of the Master, cheerfully expectant. Don't quit in hard times. Pray all the harder help needy Christians, be inventive in hospitality. So let us live this moment to our full potential. Let us live this moment to our fullness. Let us remember that. And let us remember who is with us at this time and space as we share this communion together. Amen.